Hello, Susie.
Hello, Malissia. Such an
Did you
honor to
like that high pitched? Hi, Susie. Let me see if I can do it. Hi, Susie. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel, The Source for Success.
Yes, we're being playful.
Very. Today, we've been talking with each other already about the idea that it's sometimes when you're feeling spiritual or you want to be pious about um, accepting acceptance, right? We're going to talk about accepting acceptance today, accepting being validated, accepting being loved on, accepting and receiving the love and the joy you deeply desire, but maybe even a part of you doesn't allow yourself and doesn't allow others to give you because you're not allowing it of yourself. And then we're going to use these wonderful words that we keep catching ourselves use when we're talking about something, which is, well, when I was a child, and we realize, oh yeah, fill in the blank of anything at all. When I was a child, this happened that is causing this today, which is in no way untrue. And is it serving you in the moment, which, or is it allowing you a distraction of going back into the past and saying, let me dig in the past. And again, nothing wrong with digging in the past. You gotta, till the soil.
Mm.
And then there comes a time when you've done so much of that and you've tilled the soil, but you're still avoiding the present moment or over future gazing and saying, well, but someday I'll feel better about something. And I don't need people to validate me because I'm spiritual or because I'm above that or I validate myself. But then something will happen, and this is what Susie and I were talking about. Something will happen in which somebody will be being praised and you're not, they didn't do that for you. And you're like, hey, but you're supposed to celebrate them. And so you celebrate them. And you're like, and you genuinely do celebrate them because you are happy for them. But you're like, hey, and there's the little inner child coming up going, I didn't get celebrated. They didn't do that for me. And when I was a kid, I didn't get that either. My parents didn't, and whatever, whatever. And it's all true. You're not even saying that. I'm not going to go here and say it's untrue. It's not that it's not true, but is it serving you? And in this moment, is it okay to say, because the world is your mirror, is it okay to say that in this present moment, can you acknowledge, I love to be acknowledged? I want to be acknowledged because I love to be acknowledged. Can you acknowledge that you love to be acknowledged, that you may love to be validated, that you love applause? I love applause. If I'm singing to you, I want you to applause at the end. It's kind of weird if it's all silent. I'm like, did you not like it? Do you not know what to do? I just gave you something, and I would love to receive something uh in well, I would love to receive something in acknowledgement, but also in return in the sense of, how sometimes when we're spiritual, it's like, oh, you're just supposed to give it all unconditionally.
Mm.
But then inside, you don't actually feel that way. So you're trying to be a role and you're saying, I'm supposed to be this way. But inside, you're like, I really want the thing. I really want the applause. I really want the acknowledgement. I want the thing. So you're not even being honest with yourself. And then when you were a child, when nobody gave you that acknowledgement, you're right now not doing it for yourself. Right, Susie?
Exactly, exactly. I was just relaying an experience to Malissia, and I was recalling how the mind, the human part of us, the human mind, tends to switch sides when it's convenient, and I've noticed of late this little voice inside of me coming from the mind that says, oh no, you're spiritual, you can't want to be seen. Like, that's ego. That's ego. And it's sabotaging the moment. I'm allowing it, of course, but yes, going back to the past and justifying something that happened in the past, that's
You got to
ridiculous.
say the word. Say the
What
word, Susie. When you were a child.
when I was a child, what I'm actually doing is justifying the moment, why I feel like that, and feeding it and giving it more attention. It's like there's this festery button, and I've heard Abraham say this, you've got a big red button and it's just waiting for somebody to push it. When we hold on to stuff and we justify it, it plants it and it stays there. And if we can just acknowledge ourselves, just because that comes from love, just accept ourselves and we're still human. Hey, you know what? I do love being seen. I do
Yeah.
love being acknowledged. I do love being loved on, whether that comes in the form of words or a hug or a gift or service or whatever it is. It's okay
Yes.
to receive. And if we close down our receiving of acknowledgement, what else are we closing down from receiving? You
Yeah.
know, it, there's so much in the world that, well, we love receiving generally. I do. I love Christmas morning. I love birthdays, you know, and it's that excitement and just that feeling of somebody loves me. Somebody loves me. But if I'm not willing to acknowledge that, and I've recently had reason to celebrate, and I closed that down inside myself. And because I closed it down in myself, hey, the world couldn't mirror anything else to me. And
No.
I felt quite unacknowledged, unseen, unimportant. And I closed all that down too. So, the more that we can accept ourselves, accept our feelings, and stop returning to the past, stop justifying, and allowing ourselves to have what we desire in the moment, even if that is being seen and being loved on. So, yeah, this was such a valuable conversation with Malissia, and she said, let's hit record. And I thought, perfect, because I'm
Well,
sure I'm not the only one that doesn't feel seen.
what was funny is that you were like, "Hey, I was in this group and they acknowledged this person. And they didn't do that for me." And I'm like, "Okay." And you're like, "But, I'm supposed to be beyond that. And when I was a child, great." All of that's true. And we're not even going to take that away from you. When you were a child, people didn't acknowledge you, right? And the way that you needed or wanted or would have liked, okay. And right now, somebody else is not doing it, and you don't like it, but you're supposed to be above that, and you're all grown up now, and you're not supposed to need that anymore. But you're denying yourself the thing you want by saying you're not supposed to need it, but you do need it or you do want it. And here's the thing: being spiritual, evolving as a human being, outgrowing your old self. First, you have to accept all of yourself. The child you, the you that didn't get something you want. Some people did the best they could at the time, but they didn't do something that you needed. Maybe they didn't do the best they could at the time. Maybe they were awful. And the point is it's okay to do that digging in the past as long as you need to. And it's okay to give it up when you're ready to. And it's okay to acknowledge in the present moment that it's still affecting something in your life and you're still sending that out to the world in which you're getting that back. And those people aren't acknowledging you and you're not trying to say anything, but you really feel it. And then you're not saying anything. You get off of it and you're like, oh, and then one day you might actually get to be the person that doesn't need any of that. So it's not that you won't get there because a lot of people are there. They're like, oh, I don't need that anymore. I don't need acknowledge. I can give unconditionally without needing anything in return. I don't need anything from anybody to return or to acknowledge it in any way. Great, that's wonderful you're there. But if you're not there, it's okay to also accept and acknowledge that you're not there and you want something in return. Because we were talking about, my godkids and my nieces and nephew, I would buy all these gifts for because I love to buy things for people. I just love it, love it, love it. Really, I love to spend money. I love to spend money and anybody and anything for an excuse to spend that money and buy you gifts and get to see you open it. And it makes me thrilled that you like it. And so I would give them, but sometimes I wouldn't get to watch them open it and I would never get a thank you. And I'd be like, hey. And then because I was on this new spiritual path, this was over 10 years ago, I was on this version of my new spiritual path in which I was like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to want the thank you or need the thank you. I can want it, but I'm not supposed to need it. So I'm not supposed to feel this way. So I won't say anything because I'm supposed to give unconditionally. And then I would sit there and feel bad. And this went on for a while because I wasn't getting anything in return, but I wasn't supposed to want something in return. I'm just supposed to give it. They weren't giving gifts or anything either. It was just me giving. And yes, I love to give. It wasn't their fault. Their job wasn't to have to receive them. But it's okay for me to acknowledge that I wanted a thank you. I love the thank you. I love watching them open it. I love the joy. That's what I got in return was seeing their joy. That made me happy. So I loved buying it. The joy was in the buying it and the joy was in the seeing them enjoy it. Now, no agreement set up in advance that had to happen. But what I could acknowledge in myself is that I wanted that. Whether they ever gave it to me or not is not their fault and not in all their obligation, but I could still want it and acknowledge that for myself. I can show up to a meeting and if somebody's being celebrated, I can celebrate them, and if they never celebrate it, I can, it's okay to acknowledge, well, I would like that celebration. So what it comes down to is in this present moment, what I did with Susie is say, okay, let's just say in this present moment, let's just get really real and not bring it up about the past, which you didn't get, and all the buttons that were installed that you're now pushing yourself. Nobody else is pushing it, you're pushing it. And that you're at some meeting, you're in some situation in which you would like something. So right in this moment, it's okay to acknowledge, I love to receive.
Yeah.
I acknowledge that I love to receive, like you said, Susie. I love all the five love languages. I love words of affirmation. I love gifts. I love hugs. I love physical touch. I love quality time with somebody over a coffee, over a goodie, over a good conversation. I love acts of service. I love it all. I love to receive. And I acknowledge that if I give you something, I love to receive something in return, even if it's just a thank you or an acknowledgement that you like it. I love that if I give a hug, I get one in return. I
Yeah.
love to the validation of if I give you something wonderful, you let me know that it made you feel good. I love it. I love to receive. And it doesn't make me any less spiritual. It doesn't make me any less evolved as a person. I don't have to give any of that up. It isn't because of my childhood and what all I didn't get, because that all happened and it was exactly what it needed to be, apparently. It is what it is, and I'm here now. If
Mm.
it could have been better, that would have been wonderful. If it wasn't, here's where I am now. And whatever I get in the future is the me that I got to bring to it. And everybody's going to keep mirroring back me, the me that I actually am, the feelings that I'm actually sending out until I acknowledge and accept me completely and wholly and say, I love all these things and I love being acknowledged and accepted. And if I show up to somewhere where people can't do that, that's okay. But I still love and acknowledge that that's what I want in return or what I love. And if you can't give it to me, that's okay. But I still want it. I still love it. I still would like it. And I'm going to keep going out there and finding the right people that would like to do that with me. So, how about you, Susie?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I love receiving. I love being hugged. I love being loved on. I love, people doing things for me. I love receiving, whether it's just acknowledgement or just acknowledgement. There you go. Whether it's acknowledgement, whether it's a gift, whether it's money. Oh my gosh, I love receiving money.
I
So
love receiving too.
how we do
Ending
one thing is how we do everything. So if we close ourselves down to receiving, what are we doing? So I love receiving the breath. I feel so grateful that I'm able to receive.
Yeah. Thank you, Susie. Thank you for this wonderful conversation we got to share with everybody else. We seem silly, we are. And we were just having a really good time talking about it and acknowledging it for ourselves and acknowledging, hey, it's not up to anybody else. And it's not their obligation to give to me. They don't have to say thank you. They don't have to celebrate me. But it's up to me to acknowledge that I want it, that I would like a thank you and I would like to be celebrated. And if you can't give me that, it's okay if I go find it elsewhere. Because at the end of the day, it's up to me to acknowledge me and acknowledge that I want those things. And if I can't acknowledge that for myself and I have to pretend that I don't want them, I'm going to keep not getting them
Yes.
because the world's going to keep showing up that way. And that is a blessing. So thank you all. Thank you for everybody that joined us in our silliness. And please comment and like and share and say whatever you want to about the conversation. Do you love to receive? Do you love to acknowledge it? Have you figured out recently that you're trying to be above it all and that really you're just still right in it and say, there is no above it all. It's a reciprocal universe and it's okay to want to be a part of that reciprocal universe and it to come and be in return and be in receivership. So
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful way to end this. Thank you. And yeah, we'll see you on the next recording.
thank you for being you.
Thank you.